What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today I'm going to show you how to set up your MINI RF LED wash light. Now there are 3 different lights in this series that include the MINI RF1 V2, the MINI RF3, and the MINI RF4, but the setup for each light and how you use them is the exact same. Here I have the MINI RF1 V2, which is thinner and has a different charging cable, but again the setup and all of the functions are the exact same. So as you can see, it comes with the light itself with a mounting bracket attached, a wireless remote, and a charger to charge the light. Now one of the many ways we can use the MINI RF1 is for wall washing. So you could use the rubber feet on the bottom of the light to place it flush against the wall and have the light shining upwards. Or you can place the light a few inches away from your wall and use the mounting bracket to angle the light to hit the way you want it. You could even use the same approach to light up your DJ facade, so you can place it right against the facade or place it a few inches away and angle it towards the facade. And depending on how big the facade is, you can use multiple lights for a much more illuminated effect. You can also use the light to light up a totem stand like our very own RTP32W. To do that, you're just going to lift up the scrim of the totem stand, place the light onto the base, and then lift the scrim back down. You can also use it as a table light to light up any bottles, glasses, and much more. And depending on the setup you go with, you can even take the bracket off for a cleaner look. On top of all of that, we can even mount our light to a truss. To do that, we're just going to need a lighting clamp like our very own LC70 here. We're then going to take out the bolt here on the bottom of the clamp, run the bolt through the hole here on the bracket, and use it to screw the clamp onto the light. Now to mount the light onto the truss, we're going to loosen the butterfly screw here on our clamp. Then we can line the clamp onto a spot on our truss and tighten the butterfly screw to secure it onto the truss. And since the light is battery powered, we won't have to worry about running any cables to the light as we're using it. You can tell how much battery life your light has by looking at the power LED here. So when this is green, this means the battery is anywhere from 100 to 75%. When it's yellow, that means it's anywhere from 75 to 50%. When it's set to red, that means it's anywhere from 50 to 25%. And when it's flashing red, that means it's anywhere from 25 to 0%. Now when you go to charge your light, there's even an LED on the charger itself that will be lit red when it's charging, and once it's done charging, it's gonna light up green. So now let's go ahead and power our light by pressing this button here. So now there are a few different modes we can set the light to that include the RF mode, which is indicated by the LED indicator here being a solid color, and the RF mode allows you to use the wireless controller with your light. So now if we double press the power button just like this, it will set your light to master mode. You'll be able to tell your light is in master mode when the LED indicator blinks once slowly. And if we double press the power button again, it will set our light to slave or wireless DMX mode. You can tell your light is set to this mode because the LED indicator will blink twice quickly. You can also single press the power button like this to change the color group your light is set to no matter which mode it's on. Now there are 4 different color groups you can set your light to, so those are red, green, yellow, or blue. These color groups are important because they allow us to use the light with a DMX controller, pair multiple MINI RF lights together in master slave mode, and to use the lights with your RF remote. Now if we take a look at the remote here, you'll see we have a button here that says RF group. This allows you to set the remote to the same RF group as the lights you're wanting to control. So for example, if the RF group is set to red on my lights, I'm going to want to set it to the same group on my remote here. And then from there, I'm able to use my remote with any of the lights set to this RF group. We can also set the remote to the white RF group so we can control any lights no matter which RF group they're set to. So all of these different RF groups allow us to set our lights or group of lights to different modes or colors, and we can control each of these groups with just one remote. Moving on with the remote, we also have the on and off button to turn the LED on or back off. We also have all of these different color wheels here to set our light to different colors. So for example, if I click on the red color wheel here, I can use the up and down buttons underneath to set it to the different shade. Next, we have the up and down buttons for the overall brightness for our lights. So the higher I raise that, the brighter the light will be, and the lower I raise that, the lower the brightness. We also have 4 different sound modes we can set the light to. So under sound mode 1, this will interact with my voice or any sound that's picked up and make it turn to a different color. Then we have sound mode 2 where the light will pulse between each sound. Then we have sound mode 3 where the light will strobe as there's sound being picked up. And then we have sound mode 4, which has a strobe plus a white light. We can also adjust the sensitivity of the mic that picks up sound. So if I lowered it, it will be less reactive to the sound. And then the higher I raise it, the more reactive the light is. We also have 4 different preset modes for the light, so we have the strobe, pulse, fade, and the normal color cycle mode. Then above that we have the speed buttons to adjust the speed of these modes, so the higher I raise it for the color cycle mode, the faster the colors will cycle, and the lower I set the speed, the slower the colors will cycle. Now we can also set up our lights with a wireless DMX controller to have even more control over our lights. So to do that, we're first going to want to set our lights to slave or wireless DMX mode by double pressing the power button until the LED indicator starts to blink twice quickly. We're also going to want to set our light to the same color group by single pressing the power button. So we can either set them to the color of red, green, yellow, or blue. We're also going to want to set our DMX controller to the same color group so that it will automatically and wirelessly link to our lights. Again, we're going to set it to the red color group just like this. So now on my DMX controller, I can activate scanner 1, and now we should be able to use the controller with our lights. So let's go through each fader and see what they do. Starting with fader 1, this will adjust the overall brightness for our lights, so for today, let's raise that all the way up. Next to that, we have fader 2, which will control the red LEDs, so the more I raise that, the more you see the red peeking through. Next to that, we have fader 3 to control the green LEDs. Next, we'll have fader 4 to control the blue LEDs. Then we have fader 5 to control the white LEDs. After that, we have fader 6 to control the amber LEDs. And then after that, we have fader 7 to control the ultraviolet LEDs. So we can use faders 2 through 7 to set the light to a single color, or we can mix and match these faders to make a customized color. So for example, I could raise fader 2 a little bit. Then I could raise fader 3, little bit of fader 5, and then a tiny little bit of fader 7. And then after that, I have a fully customized color. We also have fader 8, which will activate the strobe for the lights. So the more I raise fader 8, the more the lights will start to strobe. Next to that, we have fader 9 that will set our lights to different modes depending on where we leave it. So for example, if I set fader 9 anywhere from 120 to 159, it will activate the color pulse mode. And then we can adjust the speed for these modes with fader 10 right next to it. So the more I raise fader 10, the faster the pulse mode will go. If you ever get confused on which faders do what, you can always refer to the DMX guide. And also with the DMX guide, you can see which values do what for fader 9, and you can always tell which value you're on with any fader by referring to the screen on your DMX controller. Now, if you didn't want to use a DMX controller, but you wanted to sync up multiple lights at once, you can always use the master slave feature. To do this, we'll first want to set all of our slave lights to slave mode by double pressing the power button until the LED indicator flashes twice quickly. We're also going to want to set our lights to the same color group by single pressing the power button to change the color to red, green, yellow, or blue. For today, let's set them to the red color group. Next, I'm going to want to go to the light I want to use as my master light, so it's going to be this one right here, and set it to the RF mode. You'll know your light is in RF mode when the LED indicator is lit to a solid color and not blinking. I'm also going to want to set the RF group on my remote to the same color I set my lights to, and I'm going to do that by pressing the RF group button here until the color on the remote matches the color I set my lights to. So in this case, I'm going to want to keep pressing the RF group button until it flashes red. So from here, I can set the master light to any mode or color I want it set to, and then I'm going to set the master light to master mode by double pressing the power button until the LED indicator flashes once. And then as soon as I set the light to master mode, all of the slave lights start to follow. Now if we ever want to make any changes for our lights, I'm going to go to the master light and set it back to RF mode. Again, you can tell your light is in RF mode when the LED indicator is a solid color. Then from here, I can switch my light to any different mode or any different color. Then I can set the light back to master mode by double pressing the power button until the LED indicator flashes once quickly. And then again, all of these slave lights will follow the master light. Now another cool thing is that we can group our lights together by using the color-coded groups. This will make all of the lights in that group sync perfectly no matter what mode or color you set the light to. First, let's backtrack on a few different things before we move on to this section. Now there are 4 different color groups you can set your light to, so those are red, green, yellow, or blue. You can also single press the power button like this to change the color group your light is set to no matter which mode it's on. Now if we take a look at the remote here, you'll see we have a button here that says RF group. This allows you to set the remote to the same RF group as the lights you're wanting to control. So for example, if the RF group is set to red on my lights, I'm going to want to set it to the same group on my remote here. And then from there, I'm able to use my remote with any of the lights set to this RF group. We can also set the remote to the white RF group so we can control any lights no matter which RF group they're set to. So all of these different RF groups allow us to set our lights or group of lights to different modes or colors, and we can control each of these groups with just one remote. So to demonstrate, I have two different groups of lights set up. So I'm going to want to make sure to set them to RF mode by double pressing the power button until the LED indicator is on the solid color. Next, we're going to want to set each groups of light to their own color group. So for today, I'm going to set the lights here to the red color group and the lights over here to the green color group. Again, we can single press the power button to switch the color groups. So now I can take one remote and set it to the red RF group by pressing the RF group button until the light on the remote flashes red. So now from here, I can point it to the red group of lights and set it to any mode or color. And then with the same remote, I can set the RF group to green and change the green group of lights to any mode or color. And now because these lights are set to different groups, they're both doing different things. So now let's say we wanted to change all of our lights at once. I can set my remote to the white RF group, and now we can change all of our lights at once, no matter which color group they were set to before. So hopefully this showed you guys how easy it is to set up your MINI RF LED wash light. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.